You're in America now, and we don't give a shit about you. You're not our fucking prince. You'll never be king. We hate your wife. Stay at home in your $29 million mansion, all right?
There are growing calls to strip Harry and Meghan of their royal titles. The New York Post is reporting that locals in the UK say enough is enough, especially after Prince Harry's disastrous BBC interview, which aired hours after he lost his appeal for taxpayer-funded UK.
Poll by Find Out Now has revealed that most of the public is supporting the king in this family feud, ongoing family feud, after Harry's bombshell BBC interview. It follows the Court of Appeal's decision to not overturn the ruling on his security in the UK.
I just can't stand her. I just think she's such a phoney.
Harry's digging an even bigger hole for himself here.
Well, I think he's dug so deep now, he'll strike water any day now.
Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles.
Oh my God, I can't even. These two, Meghan and Harry, are the worst.
She's slaughtered this weekend because there were some business cards in the back of one of her podcasts. She's still using her royal title, HRH, despite our late Queen warning her against.
It's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit. They do not use their names to make money. It's an honour to have an HRH.
Absolutely.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. It was agreed with Queen Elizabeth that they will not use the HRH title. That is a long-standing precedent, and there's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working royals and senior members of the royal family.
And
The hypocrisy is beyond anything I've ever seen.
He's a duplicitous, self-centered, vile, disloyal hypocrite.
When the whispers began in Westminster, I felt something significant was about to happen. At first, it seemed like just another headline. Prince Harry versus the Crown, round 100. But suddenly, bang, a petition. And not a Twitter rage or a celebrity collapse. This occurred inside the House of Lords, a direct hit from the British political elite. This time, it is not gossip. This is not public relations. It's a genuine scheme to deprive Harry of his royal title, the final link between him and the family he abandoned. And if you believe this is only for show, think again. This is about power. This is about legacy. About if you can demolish every royal bridge, flee to California, cash in on your name, and retain the crown's title.
But it would be nice to reconcile. If they don't want that, that's entirely up to them.
We immediately went into the trenches together.
Yeah. But she said she was in the trenches. She alludes to being in the trenches when she was in the British royal family. Girl, you lived in a castle. Like, you got a princess title. People were falling at your feet. People would run your bathwater for you. I mean, I could list the things, the perks. I could list them forever. The trenches. She has got to. The Delulu is on another level. Sometimes I envy it.
Lady who's very popular for being awful.
Prince William, he's reportedly furious after it emerged that Meghan Markle is still using her HRH title despite agreeing to drop the title when the Sussexes left royal duties.
I think Meghan Markle has been very brazen recently with the use of the HRH.
Brat, to be honest, and very, very entitled.
Harry and Meghan, they have an issue when it comes to their memory and when it comes to the truth. She is relentless, she is shameless, and she is exhausting. You are not a successful female entrepreneur.
This is no longer a family fight. This is a constitutional conflict. And the country that once idolized him, the kid behind Diana's coffin, the army prince, is now witnessing his downfall, not by tabloids, but by Parliament. What began as Megxit has become a full-fledged crisis of allegiance and identity. And if this petition prevails, Harry will not simply lose his name, he loses his final connection to the monarchy. So buckle up. This is not a Netflix drama. It is real. It is historic. And the situation is quickly becoming ugly. When I first heard it, I felt it was impossible. This must be clickbait, but it isn't. The House of Lords, the engine of royal tradition, is attempting to strip Harry of the Duke of Sussex title.
You're in America now, and we don't give a shit about you. You're not our fucking prince. You'll never be king. We hate your wife. Stay at home in your $29 million mansion, all right?
This is not a social media backlash. This is a calculated attack by senior MPs who don't play games. They make history. Here's the kicker. Harry is furious, not annoyed, not surprised, but completely enraged, because that title represents his golden ticket. It provides him clout in Hollywood, business, and any room he steps into. Take that away, and you'll have everything. This is not a warning shot. This is the first domino in a complete breakdown of Harry's regal identity. And watching Parliament move like this suggests that the elite has finally had enough. The wayward prince is going to be cut off for good.
King Charles do this because he's not confrontational. I don't think that he likes the fact that he's been accused of racism towards his grandchildren in Omid Scobie's book. So I think he's going to continue to tiptoe around.
There is more than one MP on this mission. This is developing into a national takedown. The petition blew up. Tens of thousands of individuals signed it within a few days. People are rising up all around the United Kingdom, from Sussex to Scotland. And it's not simply noise anymore. It is a movement, and Parliament is not sitting back. They are stepping in. The Lords and the Commons, not simply signing off, pushing it ahead. That's when I realized it was real. It is not for show. It has bite. They're enforcing an outdated legislation that was last used during World War I. The Titles Deprivation Act of 1917. Back then, royals were stripped of their titles for siding with the enemy. And now they're arguing Harry's actions aren't technically treasonous, but they feel just as horrible.
But of course, the real measure of success of both of them will be the same as it always has been. How much damage can they inflict on our royal family, on our monarchy? I said it before, I'll say it again tonight. King Charles should strip them of all their remaining titles and cast them out from any connection to the royal family. How could any of them trust them, as far as I could throw them? Because without it, they're just whining millennial windbags with a permanent victim complex, knowing that victimhood is what makes them all the money.
People are fed up. I'm tired of seeing someone deface the crown while profiting from its reputation. It's not just about rudeness. It's a deliberate attack on Harry's last legitimate connection to monarchy. What began as public outrage has now evolved into official action. And when Parliament and the people are in agreement, one thing is certain. There is no turning back.
But Kinsey, you recently interviewed a friend of the royal family, Hugo Vickers, who revealed the late Queen was so fearful of Harry and Meghan that she wouldn't want to be alone with them. Let's just take...
There is no trust when it comes to Prince Harry. And the picture he tries to paint with Queen Elizabeth, even saying during that BBC interview that the Queen wanted him to have this level of security, we're finding out the truth. And it's that she bothered by them.
This is where things start to get out of control. Harry did not simply flee the UK for peace and quiet. He got quite loud, and not just in interviews. He went right into American politics. That's an enormous red flag. Royals are expected to remain impartial, but Harry trashed the First Amendment, sided with partisan groups, and supported causes that contradicted everything the crown stood for. The very crown that gave him his title. And now, politicians are employing a terrible term, title laundering. This means that Harry is exploiting his royal status to advance political causes abroad. That is not just embarrassing, it also poses a severe constitutional threat. British royals do not interfere with American elections or culture wars. But Harry is doing exactly that while referring to himself as the Duke of Sussex.
Meghan, just last week, she did her first long-form sit-down podcast interview. She showed a basket that she had sent to the host of the podcast as a thank you for allowing her to come on. And here you can kind of zoom in here and it says, with the compliments of Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex.
And it is no longer whispers. MPs are going public and asking the big question, why is a foreign duke interfering with American politics? This is not just lousy manners, it is risky, because if royal titles become political instruments, the entire system may collapse. Harry thought he was only voicing his mind, but Parliament interpreted it as a warning shot, and now they're firing back with law, history, and anger.
Katie Nicholl is now joined. It's my pleasure. It's a big news story. As you can imagine over here, it really has, well, the phone hasn't stopped ringing, put it that way.
And in terms of your initial reaction to this latest news, that in fact it feels like it's a full removal in the sense of not just senior royal duties, but...
If there's one thing Harry hasn't let go of since leaving the royal family, it's his desire to bring the monarchy down. From the dramatic Oprah interview to the Netflix series and his tell-all book, Spare. It's as if he's made family betrayal into a full-time occupation. Initially, people were curious. They listened. However, even his most ardent followers are pulling away. He threw everyone under the bus. His father, brother, stepmother, and even the late Queen. That is not healing. That is completely destroying everything. And now Parliament is expressing what many of us have thought. You can't burn down the royal house and expect to preserve the keys. It is evident that Harry is using his title as a shield, maintaining the royal image while unleashing attacks from his California mansion. But that game is over. These frequent public hits have crossed a line. MPs call it symbolic treason, not a crime. But it's a complete slap in the face of the very institution that gave him that title. The monarchy remained silent for years. However, Parliament has finally had enough of waiting. They're finally speaking out, and they're not holding back.
New role within the royal family. While the royal family does modernize, I mean, the Queen sends tweets, it is an age-old institution, and I think that idea of tradition and everything we expect of the monarchy doesn't quite sit well with that idea of...
What the monarchy means for the monarchy.
Well, people are talking about it being a constitutional crisis, and I'm not sure it is a constitutional crisis. I mean, through circumstance and the Cambridges having 3 children, Harry slipped down from being the spare to the heir to...
Let's get real. Harry's reputation in the United Kingdom is collapsing badly. What are the most recent polls? 62% want his title removed. Over 70% of elderly and conservative voters agree. Even Labour fans, who are generally more tolerant, believe he has exceeded the line.
A poll by Find Out Now has revealed that most of the public is supporting the King in this family feud, ongoing family feud, after Harry's bombshell BBC interview. It follows the Court of Appeal's decision to not overturn the ruling on his security in the UK.
But here's the real gut punch. People in Sussex, his own dukedom, are signing the petition in large numbers. One elderly woman expressed it perfectly. He does not represent us anymore. He represents himself. That line struck me, because this is the truth. Sure, Harry remains a star in America, but back home, they feel completely betrayed. Not because he has departed, but he departed, ruined the monarchy, and still profited from the royal brand. You can't have it both ways indefinitely. Even his claimed base of support has turned against him. This is not about a single scandal. It is the culmination of years of interviews, leaks, and media tours, all aiming towards the crown. Public opinion hasn't only changed, it has crumbled. The British people are finished. They're saying that you departed, you attacked us, and now we're shutting you off. Parliament is not operating alone. They are echoing a message that is already resonating across the streets.
There has been a crisis in the Windsors, not least how the Sussexes chose to release this news, but also the narrative that we've had in the fallout, that the couple were very unhappy, that apparently it was a very toxic environment, particularly for Meghan.
Brothers surrounding Prince Harry and Prince William, and what this change in senior roles for Harry and Meghan means for that particular relationship.
Let's not sugarcoat this. Harry and Meghan did not retreat from royal life. They transformed it into a business. Every agreement they've made, from Netflix to Spotify to children's books, bears the imprint of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, not Harry or Meghan. The royal brand is prominently displayed. That is not subtle. That is strategy. The UK has had enough.
When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
Oh, shut up. What do you mean the stakes are this high? Who do you think you are? Other than a latte-munching imbecile living in luxury in California while the rest of the world's a cost of living crisis, moaning and whining about an institution which gave you the titles on which you now trade millions of dollars.
What are you talking about with stakes? critics call it title trafficking, using royal clout to market books, shows, and their image while seeming to have a private existence. While preaching about taking a step back, they give their children titles as well. What's with the hypocrisy? Loud. People have stopped ignoring it. This was not an exit. It was a planned branding move, and now Parliament has stepped in, saying that if you desire fame and money, you should give up the crown. In the United Kingdom, titles are not clickbait. They are meant to mean something. Harry has turned it into a commercial gimmick, and for many, this is more than just a cringe. It is insulting. And here's where things get even more brutal. Parliament prepares to strike. Buckingham Palace is silent. King Charles is not protecting Harry. He's standing back, allowing the system to perform the dirty work. He does not want to appear like a parent punishing his son. He wants it to come from the institution. It's all about optics. And Prince William is apparently done. No objections, no sympathy. Behind the scenes, he is giving a silent thumbs up, because for him, this is more than simply family. This is about preserving the crown. Imagine it. Harry enters an event, and instead of His Royal Highness, he hears Mr. Harry Windsor. This isn't just a title change. That is a brand collapse. If Parliament succeeds, Harry will lose everything that connects him to royal power. The influence, the current status, the mystique, gone. So what's left? A man known for theatrics rather than duty. The complete brand, the interviews, the bargains, the documentaries. It's all based on a regal illusion. Take that title away, and there are only two celebs selling paint, not a legacy. Parliament is aware of this. It's not just about tradition. It's about turning off the electricity at the source. And yes, this has happened previously. In 1917, King George V used the same rule to strip titles from royals who supported enemy states. Prince Andrew recently lost everything due to the Epstein affair. Nobody is above the institution. The logic is simple. If you attack the crown, you will not be able to wear it. MPs say he's no longer one of us. And really, they are not wrong.
Beyond anything I've ever seen.
He's a duplicitous, self-centered, vile, disloyal hypocrite.
How can someone destabilize the monarchy, benefit from it, and preserve the titles? Parliament is in charge of the law. They have the public. Now they're making their move. This is not going to end in scandal headlines. It will end in cold paperwork, centuries-old halls, quiet ballots, and legal motions with the weight of a kingdom. And when that title disappears, so does the fairy tale. So is the sparkle. So is the illusion. Harry might soon learn the hard way. When you leave the crown, you cannot wear its jewels. After the interviews, memoirs, podcasts, and lawsuits, this could be the end. A centuries-old mechanism slams the last door, and frankly, it's poetic. He didn't simply walk away, he set the bridge on fire. Then they sought to sell the ashes. However, the institution he ridiculed is now pushing back, with the one item that cannot be purchased: legitimacy. What remains after removing the title? Not a prince, not a hero, just Harry, a problematic name that is quickly vanishing. He attempted to become a global voice, a truth teller, a victim, but in the process, he may have transformed into something far worse: irrelevant. This petition is not solely about titles. It's a final decision, not from the tabloids, but from those he claimed to represent.
With King Charles on his way out, Prince William is expected to take over the crown. And apparently at the top of his list is to say, "Peace out, Meghan, you're done." And he plans to formally strip Meghan Markle of her royal title.
It's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit. They do not use their names to make money. It's an honour to have an HRH.
Absolutely.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. It was agreed with Queen Elizabeth that they will not use the HRH title. That is a long-standing precedent, and there's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working royals and senior.
They're now shouting back, "You do not represent us anymore." And for the first time, Harry may not have the final say. The crown is calm, but it is speaking. Parliamentary process, through silence, and via action. And what happens next might bring the whole house of cards crashing down.